So a little while ago, I saw Richardson Reads over at his channel do a few videos showing off his vinyl collection, and I thought I would do sort of the same thing because I thought it would be fun, and I thought some of you might be interested in my vinyl collection. I have been collecting vinyl since I was about 15. The first two I ever picked up were a Conway Twitty album, I think it was Greatest Hits, and George Jones's Wine Colored Roses. And shortly after that, I picked up a Lynn Anderson record. And it started out for me quite small. I would pick up one or two here and there, mostly old country stuff. And at one point I had twice as many as I have in this box here. But before I moved out here to Ottawa, I made the decision to cut my collection in half, knowing I would have less space. So I only kept what I could fit in this cardboard box right here. And I have a few more since then. I just store them on top now. But yeah, I hope you find this interesting. Normally this box is stored just to the left here, next to the bookshelf and tucked in behind the corner of the bed. So the first one I've got here, it's actually not in the jacket right now because it's up on my turntable because I was listening to it a few minutes ago. This is something that I had picked up secondhand, and on one side we've got the soundtrack to The Umbrellas of Cherumberg, which is a great film from the 1950s. And if you haven't seen it, I would really recommend you check it out. It's in French, so you'll want subtitles, but it's really, really good. The only thing with this specific album is about 30 seconds in, it skips, and I can't clean it or anything to fix it. It's a flaw in the album itself now, so I always set the needle about a minute in to the piece of music. So not great that I'm missing the beginning, but I really do enjoy this. The other side is theme and variations for two pianos and orchestras from The Go-Between. I'm not even sure what The Go-Between is. I would assume it's another musical or movie of some sort. So there's that. I'm probably going to have to do this in a few parts because I'm seeing that I'm at 3 minutes already. Next I have Midland's album On the Rocks. This is country. It came out last year and it was one of my favorite albums of last year. Now they're a fairly new group in the country scene. And they've got kind of an interesting vintage style and a vintage sound too. And also from last year, Shania Twain's album Now, her first album in over a decade, and it came out last year. And I'm really excited because I'm seeing her on tour when she comes to Ottawa later this year. Also country and fairly new. This is Old Dominion's Happy Endings, and I believe this one came out last year as well. I really like some of the songs on this album. No Such Thing as a Broken Heart was one of their singles. Shoe Shopping, also a single. Written in the Sand is their current single. Still Writing Songs About You is one of my favorite on this album too. Occasionally I stop into Salvation Army or the Vincent de Paul thrift store and browse their record section, and they usually have records for $1. And every once in a while I'll just pick up something that I've never heard of that might be interesting, and if I like it, I keep it. So the other week I picked up Melissa Manchester's Help Is on the Way. I haven't actually listened to this one yet. I picked it up mainly because of this cover art. On the other hand, I have listened to this Terry Gibbs' I'm a Lady. very, very early 80s. And the music is actually quite good on here. Once again, I picked it up because of this this cover. The fashion is just too outrageous. One of my favorite instrumental albums is actually this one that was also a random pick. A Very Good Year. And this was released in '67. So it's got that 60s sound to it. And this one was a cover by. Then I have the soundtrack to The Godfather. Love all the Godfather movies. This is fun to listen to. And this one is not as hip as it looks. You've got this very, very sexy, shimmery jean material, Canadian tuxedo on here. Molly B, Singing Country. She does, I believe it's mostly covers on here. There she is on the back with her beehive hair. Country album, but very kind of classic, traditional country. Almost too traditional for me. We've got inside Shel Silverstein. Most of you will know him as the poet. You know, Light in the Attic, Where the Sidewalk Ends. And I've got the Mamas and the Papas. I do like them. Now moving on to what is actually in the box. So what's in the box would be my core collection. This is the stuff that I brought with me to Ottawa because I loved it so much I couldn't part with it. I have here Kris Kristofferson's Me and Bobby McGee. Now this is a re-release of the original album. The original was called Kristofferson. Then Janis Joplin covered his song, Me and Bobby McGee, and that kind of blew up, and he re-released his first album under the title of the song, with the hopes that it would sell more. Country music legend right here. Then we've got Casey Musgrave's pageant material, and this is the one with the pink vinyl. It's a little bit marbled. It reminds me a bit of a bowling ball. And we have Brothers Osborne Pawn Shop. 21 Summer was one of my favorite songs a couple years back in the summer. Rum is great, Stay a Little Longer is great. There isn't a bad song on this album. And then we have I'm Jessie Coulter. Highly underrated country singer, longtime partner of Waylon Jennings. Played a big role in the outlaw country music scene. I believe this album was 75. Yeah, I was thinking 70s. I'm Not Lisa is one of my favorite songs ever, and her voice has that perfect sound to it. It's almost haunting. Then, speaking of outlaw country, we have Wanted The Outlaws, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, Jessie Coulter, and Tom Powell Glaser. Tom Powell is the only one that I'm not really familiar with. When I bought this record, I'm like, okay, who the hell was he? I'm a fan of Waylon, fan of Willie, fan of Jessie. Not really sure who he is. Haven't really been that interested in the sound of his voice enough to do some research and find out what else he did. This was kind of a landmark album at the time because it was a different sound in country music at the time. Then we have Anderson East, and I bought this, Anderson East's Delilah, after I found out that he was dating Miranda Lambert, and I wanted to figure out what he sounded like. And I do enjoy this album. It's not one of my favorites, but I hold on to it because it is nice to pull out every once in a while. It's not country. It's a little bit different than anything that I would normally listen to. And then one of my favorite albums of all time. This album was like my heart and soul for many, many months. when it came out in 2015. This is Eric Church's Mr. Misunderstood. The song Record Year on here, one of the best songs ever written. And then we have Super Country 82, Conway Twitty, Merle Haggard, Ricky Skaggs, Willie Nelson, Barbara Mandrell, and George Jones. This is just kind of a compilation album. Then we have Reba, Sweet 16. And some more Shania here. This is The Woman in Me. And we've got Whoever's in New England, more Reba. And once more Reba, Reba Live. And then we're hitting some more country here. I've got these too, I'll show you these. So this is from 1967. It is the Canada Young Singers doing the Centennial song. French is the blue, red is the English. It's a little bit scratchy, but it's fun to listen to. And then we've got Merle Haggard's Okie from Muskogee, and If I Had Left It Up to You. And then Eastbound and Down by Jerry Reed. I don't really care about what's on the other side of this. I just love that Eastbound and Down because I really love Smokey and the Bandit. And then we've got Willie Nelson's Whiskey River. And somehow I've ended up with paper covers. Some of you are going to be scandalized because I don't always treat my records like I should. Partly because when I get them, they're usually pretty roughed up already. So, Chris Christopherson's Spooky Ladies Sideshow. And then we're coming to Waylon Jennings, Heartaches by the Number. This is one of the old Waylon Jennings, before he really went outlaw. And Doris Day. I do love Doris Day movies. Doris Day Greatest Hits. This has Whatever Will Be, Will Be. And Secret Love, Teacher's Pet. A lot of the ones from some of the movies I love. And then we've got Loaded, the Best of Blake Shelton. I actually have this on CD, but when it was released on vinyl, I bought it there too. It's got Austin, which is, I think, my favorite song of all time. The Baby is one of my favorites as well. Goodbye Time, Nobody But Me, She Wouldn't Be Gone. And I really do enjoy his earlier albums more than I do his more recent stuff. Although I think Red River Blue was kind of where he peaked, and then it kind of went down from there. We've got Pete Seeger's We Shall Overcome. And then we've got Phil Oakes here. Rehearsals for Retirement. I bought this not because it's got my favorite Phil Oakes songs on it, but because I was just thrilled to finally come across a Phil Oakes record. Because I've been listening to him mainly on YouTube. He's a little bit hard to find. You can't get him on CD for a reasonable price. His albums aren't in print at the moment. He's got some really hilarious kind of political satire in his songs. The Best of Peter, Paul and Mary, 10 Years Together. More Peter, Paul and Mary, See What Tomorrow Brings. Album 1700, also Peter, Paul and Mary. And then here we go, Janis Joplin, Greatest Hits. So this has her version of Me and Bobby McGee. And which side is it on? Cry Baby. Cry Baby is one of my favorite Janis Joplin songs. And here's the album that got me hooked on Chris Christopherson. This is Jesus Was a Capricorn. The title song is pretty fantastic, although my brother was frowning at the title at the time, just because it was mentioning Jesus and Capricorn in the same title. But putting that aside, Chris Christopherson's Border Lord. This jacket is really, really messed up, but the album inside is fine. It's in plastic, so that's just shredding. Chris Christopherson's Easter Island. And Waylon Jennings' What Goes Around Comes Around.